Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and in today's video, we are going to be covering latest suggestions that have been submitted by you, the community, on the official COD Discord, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. Will we upvote some? Will we downvote some? Will we abstain? I like going through the suggestions every once in a while because sometimes you find some really good diamonds in the rough, and I like to be able to promote those as well. With that in mind, also, before we start, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. So let's start off with how to submit suggestions. So I'm a very big fan of having, when I submit suggestions, I think it's really important that we have good formatting. Now, yours does not necessarily need to be exactly how mine is, but I do think the way that I go about formatting is, you could argue, is a foundation, or is at least a template, I should say, that can be utilized. And I think it should have three things. One, you have to have what your request is. What is the actual suggestion? What's the current situation, right? Like, why do you think the suggestion needs to be, like where's the challenge, right? Why is the suggestion even being thought of? So identifying what the challenge is, and then what's the reason for the change? Why do you think the change is needed, and why do you think it would benefit? Why should we or the developers implement such a change? So that's, again, my three areas that I think is really important when you go about submitting suggestions. So I just always like to kind of get that out of the way. With that in mind, let's go through. So we have buff cav marches. Yeah, I mean, I think what we're going to do from now on is maybe we'll just give these like no's. Like if it's just not well formatted or if it's not specific enough, then we'll just do no's, just so we can really hammer the point home. Remove gem mining fatigue. It really helps all the players that are active. Don't make us hate the game. So I'm going to X that because, once again, the delivery is not well formatted and it's not well articulated enough. If I'm a developer and I'm reading this, that's not really giving me a justifiable reason outside of someone that's kind of, it feels like complaining or pointing a finger. And again, perception is important. First impressions are important. And the way that we articulate and we write things is important. You have to think about, how are you delivering this? Like, a good way to do this is, how would you pitch this to an adult that you are looking to get money from to start a business, right? Or if you had to turn in a paper to your professor, right? Are you just going to give them a sentence worth of language? Again, sometimes maybe it can be specific enough if it's that straightforward, but in most cases, right, we want to have some details here. Change the rewards for level 8 and Titan. Okay, so but why? Why change the rewards for level 80 Titan's Legacy? Why are the rewards bad for level 80 Titan's Legacy? Again, you have to explain things as though no one has any idea what you're talking about. That's actually a really good way of how to approach when you're typing something up. Make resetting talents free. It's a huge unnecessary gameplay restriction. So I'm going to X this only because, even though I agree with this, it is something that you have to be specific. You have to explain why it is important. What are the benefits of doing it to the players? And how is that something that the developers can also earn something from? It doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, right? Monetary it doesn't have to be financially or finances. But what can they get out of it? So you got to do a little bit more thinking there. Change peacekeeping heroes war trophy talent from giving RSS chest into guaranteed a rare darkling drop, arrow, or medal. Interesting. I'm somewhat not opposed to this. Part of me wishes there was just a little bit more here. So an example of this, and so I am going to X this, but I'm only going to X this because when you give a suggestion like this, you have to list out what are all the ways currently that exist that you can acquire arrows and medals from. And then also detailing what is the average drop rate that you have experienced based on, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right, however many. And then explaining, okay, why you think adding in this additional area to also acquire arrow medals would be beneficial, right? So that's kind of how I would write this suggestion up. Again, that information needs to be explained. Okay. Add Craig's father in the game as well, since you added his mother in the newest season. SOP. Okay, sure, why not? Yeah. Well, so first off, I'm gonna go no on this, only because I wish they would have said add Craig's father in the game as well, since you added his mother in the newest season of SOB2, so Craig could be raised by both parents. You forgot that line, so for that you get an X from me. Ceridian, stop resetting heroes every season. While this mechanic can be beneficial in the early seasons by reducing the disparity between players and helping to manage power creep, its importance diminishes in later seasons. Constantly resetting heroes becomes less relevant and more frustrating as players progress. I propose that after the third or fourth season, the hero reset should stop. This change would allow players to feel a greater sense of progression and continuity. I have to remember how to say these words. Enhancing the overall gaming experience and encouraging long-term engagement. So I think this feedback, actually, this suggestion could have actually been improved in some areas. Like, for example, if I was going to write something like this to advocate for stopping heroes every season, I would explain at the moment, right, heroes were reset to level 30. There's currently 20 heroes, and again, I'm just throwing out an example, right? There's currently 20 heroes in the game. It takes this long once you're at level 25 to level heroes up. And this is like how long it takes. Like, say it takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks. However, it takes a lot longer if I want to level up more than that amount of heroes by the time passes will open in KVKs, which will reduce, which again does not give me many options and flexibility to customize and to test in a KVK. It also reduces the overall amount of usage from the heroes that I can get where I need max Legion capacity in order to really make the stamina efficient or to use it efficiently out in the field, right? So I have to level up all these other heroes in order for me to get to a point where we could have longer lasting, more sustainable PvP fights. But at the moment, we really can't achieve that because it takes this amount of time or X amount of time to get there. So, like, and again, I'm just giving you a couple highlights here. That's how I would advocate for something like this. So because, one, this isn't really formatted, and two, the arguments aren't really as sound as they could be, right, I'm going to X this. Because again, I think the foundation for this suggestion has potential, but it just needs to be a better version than what it is right now. Change the scoring system at statues. The aim is to obtain the area and score points, not run away from the zone and score points. You only get points when you're in the box. So, I think a way of doing this could be, yeah. So I'm gonna say X for this only because this does not, like, if I don't know, if I have no idea what a statue is, I'm not going to understand this suggestion, which also minimizes the amount of people that could potentially be upvoting it. So again, formatting, explaining what the statue fight is, right? Talking about how long it lasts. Where is the statue? It's in the middle of the circle, right? There's 2 lanes to come into it from the west and the east, and you send your units into the statue, and you have to attack other units or enemies, if you will, to score points. Now, you can do that, or you could even argue kind of more of a King of the Hill thing, where you just have to occupy the space uncontested, meaning that no one's attacking you in the space, and or no other units or no other enemy units are inside of the box. So, right, or in the area, right, and then you can start accumulating time. There are a number of kind of approaches. It doesn't really have to be kind of like this King of the Hill plus team deathmatch type approach, right? You can actually really have it be one or the other. But again, this needs to be articulated and thought a little bit more on how to explain that. Remove long-range warfare or buff the mage-specific seasonal talent. Okay, but why, right? Again, be specific, right? I haven't seen one good overall suggestion thus far when we talk about formatting, approach, details, and just how things are written, right? And again, is it something that devs would be like, wow, this is like a suggestion I want to consider now, right? Once again, buff calves, we're going to X that, not specific enough. Again, not quality, not overall quality enough of a suggestion all around. Extend the lair portals to the runic statues because it's annoying to teleport there and find out nobody cares and you just farmed war. So again, for something like this, I would explain this is what a lair portal is. This is how it's used, right? So when I activate it, it pops out in front. Like, and I'm just giving you an example. I haven't used one myself. But the point is you would explain the lair portal pops a portal out in front of my city. I send my units out. I send them into the portal. It then teleports the units in front of the behemoth lair. And this is what we do, right? So explain what is happening and the change you would like to see. And again, be specific. So for that, you're going to get an X from me. Kimono, remove legendary heroes I already awakened from gold chest and just redistribute the odds to them to the rest of legendary heroes I haven't. I mean, this isn't... So I agree with this suggestion. However, again, I just wish it was formatted a little bit better or just formatted at all. I wish there was a little bit more explanation here. Yeah. I mean, again, the premise is okay, but again, yeah, I have to be consistent, right? And it's just... I want it to be a little bit more. I think there just needs to be a little bit more explanation there where... Like, they're removing legendary heroes I've already awakened, right? You could say, like, ones that I've already maxed out, meaning I have them at 555, right? Plus awakened, right, from the gold chest, and redistribute the odds of them to the rest of the other legendary heroes I have not maxed out and skilled. But explain why that is, right? And the fact that it still would take a lot of time to even do this as, you know, again... Because you also have to kind of advocate for free-to-play, or just everyone in general, right? So I just think it needs a little bit more. Again, there's potential there, and it's close, but it just needs a little more. Ceridian, start counting damage done by artifacts towards merits gained. Counting damage done by artifacts towards merits gained. This change would help smaller accounts accumulate merits faster and clear the merit store more quickly, making the game more balanced. Currently using artifacts... like Phoenix Eye on a group of players doesn't grant any merits. Oh, interesting. Which feels unfair and inconsistent, including artifact damage and merit calculations ensures that all efforts in the game are rewarded, providing a more enjoyable experience for everyone. Krakens are already clearing the store, so this adjustment mainly benefits those with smaller accounts. So, based on how I'm reading this, what they're saying, I'll start counting damage done by artifacts. Okay. So I will say this: even though this is not formatted, they provide what the change they want. They explain what is currently being done and why they think the change would benefit. So I will actually vote yes on this, even though it is missing its format and structure. I still think that again it could have that, and then we wouldn't have to like read through this wall of text to figure that out. That can be a little hard to do, especially if you're trying to send a clear message. So opportunity for next suggestion is formatted so it's easier to read and understand where the key points are in the message. Cavalry damage needs to be much higher to be viable because they die too fast in big war. Like you give infantry plus 5% reduction per each target hitting. So again, this is a good example of you need to clearly explain the suggestion that you want to be see done, but also explain what is the current situation. Like detail out what are the challenges right now with Cav, and then why you're advocating for the changes. So because that's not really being done here, I'm going to vote no on that. Make every legendary pet have 8 slots. I don't want to regenerate 1 billion times to get 8 slots and decent stats. So again, explain this more clearly. Keep in mind, for people that play the game, they can understand, and I don't think this is a bad suggestion at all, but you have to explain things as though people have never played the game before. That's the way that you write suggestions. So again, because of that, I'm going to vote no. It needs to be articulated better than its current form. Make Sentinel arrows drop as much as treaties. I literally sent 4 marches. So again, this is a similar thing. Improve that. Don't make cod in a rod, please and thanks. Again, be specific. Kevin, add pre-KVK events like rock. Again, be specific. I mean, again, these are suggestions I wouldn't even give a second look at. Consider adding a kind of reforge feature to reset hero stars like the artifact one. Give players possible to fix their mistake about hero investments. So I don't not like, right? I guess a better way of saying it is like I do somewhat like this, but I just want it to be articulated better. I want this to be explained better. And for someone who has, if I'm someone who's never played the game before, I'd have no idea what this means. Like I could maybe guesstimate, but this needs to be clearer. Like there needs to be more reasoning, quality reasoning put into this. So for that, that's a no for me. Able to obtain forge keys through events every week. Okay, but why? Why do I need to be able to obtain forge keys every week? Explain that. Again, you have to think about the audience that you are presenting suggestions to and also the people that you have the suggestions targeted at, right? These are not, and I say this respectfully, but these are not 12-year-old kids, right? These are most likely adults, hopefully, that are developing the game. And they need to understand where you're coming from. Not simply put this in, broski, because it would make the game super elite, crazy good. It's not going to do anything for anyone. Okay, thank you. Wilderburg T5 still aren't distinguishable enough on the battlefield. Make them stand out more clearly, please. League of Order T5 units are more distinguishable. Make the Wilderburg T5 similar. I mean, this is close, but I would love an explanation. Like, why are they more distinguishable? What are the differences in how they are distinguishable? And why do you think that Wilderburg should be distinguishable? Which some of that is, but like I would explain League of Order and Spring Warden's T5 units look like this, right? If you take a look, it's clear that based on the aesthetics that they are distinguishable to show you that this is a T5 unit, and Wilderburg currently is using like T4 aesthetic sets, right? It would be nice to be able to have them be consistent across the, like something like that. So because that's not it, X. Allow officers to export members' rankings with their character ID, member list, current power, and merits to an CSV, make it easier to manage more time. So I love this suggestion. I am all for this. I think this is a big W. However, again, even though it is, I still would like for it to be formatted. Right? So an example of this is I would say, if I'm going to submit this suggestion, I would say, okay, this is what I want to happen. This is the current situation of what we have to do as players that manage the game, that are managing all the players that play your game, right? And I would articulate that as an officer and leaders, we are basically supervisors and an extension of you as the developer for all the players that play, because the playing experience is basically roughly determined based on, in a large part, how alliances manage those players, right? So, because that's a huge factor on if people will continue playing a game or not, or if they'll leave that alliance or go join a new one. And all of those factor into, right, that psychological pressure that may be applying in a bigger way or a smaller way. And then I would go in and say, this is why we'd like to see the change. So I like this. I do. I just really want this. Like, and you guys know I'm such a big person when it comes to data and when it comes to just kind of Kingdom Alliance management and really believing in having a better quality of life and day-to-day experience for players. So I'm very much an advocate for this. But because it's not detailing those things out well enough for me, I'm going to exit. It's really close. It's really close. And I do want to see this in. But I would again, put a little bit more thought into that. Make war pets easier to search for when zoomed out on the map. Give each unique icon. Okay, so again, detail what the challenge is. Why is it difficult to search for them? And then why do you think it would help? Again, a little bit more, some formatting there. Give someone a for science emote, maybe a breaker exploding in their face, something cool like that. Okay, but why? Right? Why do you want a for science emote? And again, it could be something as simple as, hey, it'd be great if you could add a for science emote that would look like this, and we'd like to see it and we'd like to see it in there because it would add, like if someone's attacking someone, right? You could say for science. I mean, maybe it doesn't need to be that specific, and yeah, maybe we're going too hard on like the simple one, which is pretty straightforward. Breaker exploding on their face. Oh, but it had to be animated. Okay. Oh, I no, never mind. It would just be something cool like that. Okay. I guess this is specific enough. We don't have to go too deep into that. I'll vote that. I'm down with that. Give us more redeem codes and start including gems in every code as well. Nobody wants silver keys. So I think the way to articulate this is to say, hey, in the last couple redeem codes, this is what we've been getting. It'd be nice if we could get a little bit more diversity, and maybe we could throw some gems into some of the redeem codes, just so it doesn't feel as though they're keeping premium rewards out, and it feels like we're just kind of getting the scraps at the bottom of the barrel. Like, that's how I would articulate that. So because of that, I'm going to say no, but I do like the idea of having more diverse redeem code rewards. Make have useful in large-scale fights. Again, be specific. It's not enough. Detail that out. Where's the formatting? Implement a chat in which there is no report option. This way, people can express their true emotions without the fear of being muted. Enabled. Oh, interesting. So again, I would explain what's happening, because I think this is really coming from a place of what we've been seeing in some kingdoms where people are mass reporting people, even though they really haven't done anything bad or egregious, and they're being muted. And so it just kind of feels like it's being abused. And again, I would explain what's happening and why you believe that, or why you want to see that change. Give us unlimited refreshes of the merit daily store, with every refresh costing merits and 2 times the previous one, so we don't waste 5 million merits end of week, but it's also not that much value the higher you go. I mean, I'm somewhat iffy on this, but I think first and foremost, I'd like to see this articulated a little better. So again, formatting, explaining what are the current numbers right now? How much does it currently cost merit-wise to do the refresh? And then give an example of how that scales. And then if a refresh comes in, why is it a benefit to you? Why is it a benefit to other players? Right? So really explaining that. It's fine if you want to implement the ticket system, but I think the 5k gem option should be brought back. That allows you to migrate between home kingdoms, matched in a KVK. If you want to migrate to a different home kingdom that was no in your KVK, then I think the system is fine. The best part of the game was meeting new people and and you can migrate easily with them in the future. You will kill all the whales because it's so system. Okay, so this is interesting. This, to me, is a unique idea that I can get behind. So this, I think, is really smart when you think about you have 2 migrating options. You have the option, like, so on one side, it's like, do I want to get out fast or do I want to take my time? And so you could say, okay, well, if you migrate within your kingdom, within your KVK, it costs you 5k gems, but maybe you don't get a good matchup for a kingdom you want to migrate between because maybe there's just not a good kingdom within your KVK matchup that you'd want to. So maybe you have to wait 2 or 3 KVKs until you find a kingdom that you're like, okay, you know what, now I'll migrate. But at the same time, you can keep farming migration permits. You can buy bundles if you need to. And so if you want to get out fast, you do that. You spend, right? If you want to migrate to a kingdom that's outside of your KVK group. But internally, right, even though it might, so it's like spend, you get out fast. Spend money, right? Farm permits, right? It's still obviously farming permits a little bit of a slower process, but then if you want to migrate into a kingdom within your KVK, you spend the 5k gems. It could be a little bit slower, but you're also limited on the amount of kingdoms that you have at choice. I actually really like this suggestion. This to me feels like it was very thought out. Again, I would like to see a little bit more formatting here. Kingdoms, if you want to migrate to a different home kingdom. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is specific enough. I think 5k gem should be brought back that allows you to migrate between home kingdoms matched in KVK. If you want to migrate to a different home kingdom that was not in your KVK system, is fine. I think this is actually well enough. Like, it's not formatted, but it identifies what the objective is, what the situation is and why we want to see the change. I just wish this was formatted, but this is clear or specific enough, I think, to get there. So I actually really like, that's actually a great suggestion. I do like that. Add spending events like Wheel and Forge onto the calendar. Okay, I'm going to assume that's because they're not on the calendar. And again, I wish that was specific enough, but I'll vote this because that's pretty straightforward. It's just saying, hey, add these things on a calendar, and the assumption is that they're not there. Add level 16 and VIP 17 with 3. Yeah, maybe we're going to say a no on that, but I'd love for you to articulate exactly why. Artifact keys should be easier to obtain. Okay, but why? Explain. What are the ways you obtain them right now? What's the rate that you can pull 10 times artifacts at, etc., right? Really advocate it. That doesn't tell me anything. Change the notification on the Dragon Trail. Change notification on the Dragon Trail back to what it was pre-update, where it only displayed after not collecting your dragon coins after you committed a lot. Huh. Okay. But why? So again, explain what the current system is, what the previous system was, and why you like the previous system, right? Even though I feel like this could be a good change, you have to be able to articulate that to someone who hasn't played the game before. Hero stamina loss every time they enter battle. When launching an attack or getting attacked, both your legion and enemy legions should lose stamina because it was considered as a battle. So again, I would explain what's the current system, how does stamina operate now, and why do you want to see the change, and what's the benefit of it. VIP 16 when? Yeah, we'll go X for that. Need to explain yourself. Play minigames to obtain speed-ups or reduce gathering time. This rewards active players, and you won't stare at a screen the whole time. It's fun for everyone. It's a fun minigame. Yes. So I'm actually an advocate for this stuff. You probably have heard me talk about these things before, where I think adding in these kinds of minigames or additional tasks that require time can allow for you to do things like, again, reduce overall gathering time. It can do things such as maybe speed up RSS production within your city. Maybe being able to acquire more speed ups in areas, right? Because you're basically trading your time for rewards. I think this is a good idea, but it's too broad, it's too vague, it needs to be more specific and formatted. In the runic statue battles, make the whole area the place to get PvP points, and only in the square to get occupation points. It's annoying fighting people who just sit outside the square so you can't get the points. Okay, this I think is a good suggestion. I wish this was a little bit more detailed. So again, explaining how runic statue fights work currently. And then what the changes you'd like to see and why you think the change would be beneficial. Because I'm actually okay with this, where like you use the statue as like a King of the Hill thing, and then outside it's all kind of like team deathmatch PvP. However, you could also make those two separate game modes for statue itself as well. So I like the idea, but it just needs to be articulated and written a little better and formatted. Per hero start of the season talent. At the moment when you go into a new season, you get the option to keep your hero talents the way they are or reset them. I would like this to be a per hero option, as some only wish to change it. Okay, so this is specific enough. I mean, sure, would I like for it to be formatted? Of course. But they explain what the system is, why they would like this, why they want to see the change, and what the changes that they want to see. And this is bare minimum. I want to be clear, like this is not ideal, but it's bare minimum because it checks off pretty much all the boxes. So, and I'm an advocate for that too as well. I think it actually would be a good change. A unit that can dig through the ground to the enemy, preferably infantry or cavalry. The idea would be simple. Start digging process would be around 10 to 15 seconds, in which the unit would have its defense lowered. After the digging is done, it would make the unit be unaffected by normal attacks while it's going through the tunnel and still be affected by AoE skills. The range would be mid. It would add another I see where they're going with that. I don't know. I just don't know if something like that is needed right now. Not to say that I think it's a bad idea. I just don't think it's needed right now. Make every captured pet have a talent skill 0. 3 stars at the minimum number of slots is now 2. So again, I would explain, right, how does the current system work for captured pets? And then why do you want to see the change, and why would it benefit people? So again, because that's not specific, like because I can't understand that if I'm someone like, and bear in mind, I'm someone who has like not done anything with pets yet. So this is even more relevant, more objective for me, because I just don't understand this, right? And that's my point, is that you have to be able to explain it to someone who does not know about it. Don't implement migration tickets. Again, not specific enough. We'll do this last one. When you get teleported by a bomb tower, you should get teleported to zone 1. That way whales can abuse the system and get a random teleport into enemy territory. Get hit by a bomb tower, you get a penalty, not a way to get your city close to enemy territory. Yeah. So so again, this could be formatted better. It also could be more explained a little better too as well. This is something that we ended up seeing Nephisto, SP, a number of other players. Again, I'm only naming the ones I saw when I was live streaming this. Is we saw some members of Noir do this to basically get random TP'd closer to enemy territory so they could be attacking them out in the open field and basically delay their flag building to choke points or to certain spots on the map, and allowed for Noir and others to kind of build faster and kind of get to certain strategic points quicker. It also delays sending troops, right? So you can maybe have mismatched fights in the open field too as well. There's a number of kind of benefits, advantages, disadvantages, depending on the side you're on for when something like this is happening. So I get where they're coming from on this, where if the bomb tower does that, like you're forced out of the current zone, or, maybe you're forced on your territory, right? So maybe if you get random TP'd, you're forced back onto your alliance, a random spot in your alliance territory, right? There are other ways to do this. I just would like for this to be a little bit more specific and clear, and also be a little bit more formatted, right? So, and I would explain, like, how does the current system work? Why do you want to see the change? And then, again, why do you think it would benefit, right, other people? And obviously why the dev should do it. So, I like it, right? I like it to an extent. I just would like to see this explained a little bit more. Right? Because really, if anything, it's just a mechanic in the game that people are taking advantage of. You could argue abusing, but they're just using it. It's not like they're cheating or anything, right? They're just taking advantage of a feature. Okay, so we're at about 32 minutes right now. We went through a number of suggestions back to May 19th. So what's funny is I only went back 2 days for all the suggestions that we read. I hope you guys enjoy this, right? I love reading suggestions. I hope anyone that reads this, especially if you're someone who submitted a suggestion that I talked about, right? I'm never mad at anyone or taking shots at anyone that submitted a suggestion, right? I hope people, when they hear me speak on these things, that it's coming very much from a warm, constructive criticism and educational place of, like, if you want your suggestion to really be seen by the developers and for the community to really resonate with it, where it can also attract more upvotes, right? These are things that I think are going to help you do that. So again, those are my thoughts. I would love to hear what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree with some of the ones that we touched on? Would you have just green checked everything and you don't even care about formatting, right? You think developers don't really care about that either? Let me know. Anything and everything in the comments down below. That'll do it for me. As always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later.